Applegates. So
Okay, so the Applegate family, well, they're very, very famous, and they came out here in 1843, and Jesse Applegate, who was the lead brother, was the head of the cow column of the great 1843 migration. He had two other brothers with him, Lindsay and Charles, and they came on down to Polk County where they settled briefly, and then eventually the Umpqua. Well, they were ambitious about finding a new route into the Willamette Valley because both Jesse and Lindsay had a child drowned, a son drowned in the river. I think that's what happened. Anyway, coming down the Columbia. And they felt there were two reasons why we needed a route out of the Willamette Valley from the south. One is because coming down the Columbia from the Dalles on down was so terribly dangerous. And the second thing was because they were afraid there might be war with England, and you couldn't get into Oregon without passing British forts. So by having a southern route, it would be possible for immigrants to get in or out of Oregon without going by the forts. So then in 1846, there was heavy pressure from the territorial government. We've got to find a new route somehow southeast of the Willamette Valley. And so in 45, they sent Elijah White down here to try to find that. He got up on top of Spencer Butte and looked around and couldn't find, he gave up. So then the next spring, a group of people headed by Levi Scott, and with no Applegates involved, this is in May of 46, came down, didn't take this route, went through Eugene, down by Cottage Grove. They found an Indian who helped them find a route over the mountains, went down into the Umpqua, traveled through the Umpqua, and they decided this is an easy road, it will work. And so they came back up to Polk County, but they said we couldn't go any further, but this will work. This May trip has been basically ignored by all of the historians because Lindsay Applegate wrote how he ignores the May trip. So from Lindsay's point of view, they came down in June, and he says an old Indian helped us find a route. No, he didn't. They already knew the route from the May trip. And so to understand all this, the first thing you have to understand, the Applegates had nothing to do with the first route that got them down to the Umpqua. But then when they came back, they thought, okay, let's get a better group together. And so that's when the two Applegate brothers, Jesse Applegate and Lindsay Applegate, got involved. And with Levi Scott and these other guys, they just went all the way down to the Umpqua, following the trail that had been set in May. And then they went on south to Ashland, and then they went over the mountains and across the desert. Yeah, there's this Indian Charles or Charlos or Carlos who comes up over and over. Charles was the one who showed him how to get from the Umpqua over the mountains over to the Coast Fork. And that was in 26. And John Work, who was probably one of the best of all Hudson Bay Company trappers, even he, clear in 1834, is still talking about how this Charles or Carlos is either trading furs with him or finding things. So he's a very famous Indian in this, which is important because very few Indians were ever famous by name.